You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. And that is a quote from Bob Marley. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie Fari, the beautiful, life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. I am your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie, and Hippie Fari is a podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. Now tonight, we have a very special guest in the studio. This is a highly anticipated return. There are certain voices in the roots and culture movement that just don't sing or speak. They ignite. They carry a flame that doesn't just entertain, it reminds us. It reminds us of the power of the message of music, of spiritual resilience, and of standing in light, even when the shadows stretch long. And that's why this guest is back with us. Because when you drop an album like Candle Burning with the depth, the layers, the sonic roots, and the soul-searching lyrical heat that this one brings, we're definitely going to talk about it. So from analog recording sessions in Belgium to collaborations with legends like Alpha Blondie, to nearly every track that whispers or shouts a message about rising, burning, and being the light. This is about music as a movement. It's not just about sounding good, but about doing good, and about using the fire not to destroy, but to illuminate. So fans, family, please join me in welcoming back to the show, Harrison Stafford of Groundation. How you doing tonight, Harrison?
I'm doing quite well, Scotty. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you got a ton going on. You're about to leave again. You just got back from Germany, all this really cool stuff. But really quick, before we got into the questions, we had talked last time about something that really fascinated me. You had mentioned there was a dance school that had made a routine and choreographed it all to Groundation's music. And you actually went over to Germany to check it out. Is that correct? My memory serves me correctly?
I went there to rehearse and perform the opening night. I sang with them with my Peter Gabriel microphone as they were dancing and moving, and there were these risers and positioning, and it was a whole new experience for me. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I couldn't even imagine it. Martin, who was a choreographer,
right.
Very, very brilliant from France. And I don't know how the connection to the National Theater in Germany happened, but it did. And it was the National Theater in Mannheim, Germany.
That's
that
amazing.
Was putting this show on, and they said, come out, rehearse, be there for the opening night. And they're performing scattered shows throughout the summer until August.
Wow, that's so cool, man. And I got the list of the tracks that you sang. Jaja No, Babylon Ruled Him, Demorize, A Dreamer, Hypnotize, which is off of the brand new album, which is cool. Cultural Wars 2, 3, 4, and Seventh Seal. That's awesome. So they picked the songs and you went and sang them, or?
Yeah, yes.
That's
I
cool.
left it off to the dancers, and I was surprised. Demorize and Seventh Seal, Hypnotize, you mentioned. These have these polyrhythmic. It's not just common 4/4 timing.
Right.
So I was surprised that some of these tracks were chosen. And like Cultural Wars, I don't think I've performed those in 15 years. So it was a wonderful, and without my guitar, without the band, with these 10 dynamic dancers moving.
Right.
I first, when they were sending me their rehearsals, I was like, what do you want me to do? Like,
right.
How do I certainly cannot move like that.
Right.
Dancer, professional. I mean, these are young people.
Yeah.
So it was a practice of the songs, the presentation, the performance, but also hitting your marks, It's
Sure.
a theater. So if you're not where we did the lighting rehearsals for each mark and each lyric and section,
right,
it's going to throw the show off. So the rehearsal now is to not lose track of the song I'm performing while hitting the mark. I mean, when we perform Groundation, I do whatever comes to me, right?
Sure.
There's no rehearse where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do. But here is the opposite. You have to do this because the line of dancers come this way or they move that way, or you go on the riser for them to go in the center. And it was, man, to a certain extent, there was an excitement and nerves once again in the performance, you know?
Sure.
Which
That's
is great.
awesome. It kind of sounds like your analog recording in the studio. You know, you have to get it right on the first take because that's
Yes.
pretty much
Yes.
it.
And also, unlike the Groundation shows and unlike what they were doing for the rest of the summer,
Right.
we only have one opening night. I'm only performing for one show.
Right.
So no matter how great the dress rehearsals were the week before,
Didn't matter.
you need to execute. Yeah. And oh man, one time when I was leaving at Demrise, right before Demrise comes, I go off the stage for the percussion intro, where they break down all the different parts.
Right.
And I'm supposed to leave the stage and come through the back. But they had closed the curtains off, and there was no place to leave the stage. So there was a moment where I had a Spinal Tap moment, and the choreographer said, "Oh, I think I might have heard you on the microphone laughing."
Right.
It was just like, am I going to get trapped in this curtain trying to find the backstage?
Right.
And it was, sold out show. And standing ovation, and it was a wonderful experience, and it was so great to work with these dancers who gave it their all, man. Gave it their all. It was
That's
fantastic.
really cool, man. Yeah, and that had to be, pretty awesome feeling, to know that you want to use your music to choreograph dance. That's really cool.
This man contacted me 2 years ago, and I didn't know it was going to go anywhere, and the idea of having the band performing live with it's really not possible unless you have 2-3 weeks of shows.
Right.
So I was like, I want to make this happen because reggae music certainly has not had that type of venue. When you have these big national theaters, there's a type of clientele,
Right.
goes to these shows.
Certainly.
They're the they're the to-dos in the town, and they don't really know reggae from streggae. So,
Sure.
they came in there and they had an experience and they were moved. So, I was committed to making this project happen.
That's absolutely fantastic, man. Well, that's one of the things that, that I had. Yeah, well, I'm everything from the last one I remember, but I remember you talking about that, and I was like, man, I can't wait to hear from him, to actually hear how that went. So that's really cool, man.
And really, I want to say that we also did, and it's going to be releasing the end of June, early July. We did a music video for Hypnotized.
Nice.
So we took a day out there in this big theater area with all the dancers. So there's going to be something out there on the YouTube that lives forever of this.
That's great, man.
Foundation. Yeah. It was a perfect way to spend my time and energy there.
Sir, was that video, was that planned, or was it something you were like, hey, we're already here, let's just go ahead and do it?
As soon as Martin chose Hypnotized, I said, well, we should do something because
Sure.
They were already having the film people there to
Sure.
do the opening night.
Yep.
So let's cement this, and
Amen.
it's hard enough. It's sold out. People from California, from Florida, they're not going to be able to go to Mainz, Germany. So
Right.
this gives an experience of, and it also gives Martin a little, like a business card of what he could do.
Sure.
So I think for everybody involved, we made it happen, and that'll be coming out soon. So I'm very happy.
That's absolutely fantastic, man. Right on. So, I guess we'll go ahead and hop into the questions. I'm really excited about this, man. You've dropped your 11th studio album now. That's December 11. What was different about this process, maybe compared to like earlier records, and especially kind of to how it was recorded over 10 days of analog recording? And I recall you saying Brussels.
Yes, it was at ICP Studios in Brussels, in Belgium. It's how to get the band together.
Right.
And the studio I might have mentioned, but Prairie Sun Studio, where we recorded Hebron Gate all the way through to One Rock, closed,
Right.
But we had recorded this way. We rehearse, know what we're going to do. We go in the studio and execute. And we record everything as we perform live in the one pass onto the analog tape. So it's similar to how we've worked in other albums. A lot of this music came from really a weekend where the keyboardist Pau, the drummer Zach Murillo, the bassist Isaiah, and I met in Oakland over 3 days period, just jamming for 8, 10 hours a day, ideas. And it was sparked. Zach was said it would like nice to be something positive, you know?
Right.
And I said, well, what do you mean? The weight of the Groundation catalog is very heavy.
Sure.
Not only is it minor keys and chords and things, but it's Babylon System, Silver Tongue Show, Weeping Pirates, right?
Yep.
It's Seventh Seal. It's all of these, all the way through to the last record with Greed and with Market Price, Silver and Gold. And we talk a lot about the vanity and the corruption and this Babylon system that is not pretty.
Sure.
So it came to me in like a flash of, okay, let's look at the positive things, what we're all living here. We're all trying to hold on to the spark of hope, the spark of love. It seems like this light is dimming right now. To me, it's an eternal light. You know, it illuminates everything that exists, and it's ever present. The individual can turn their back on the light,
right,
or could refuse to see it, but the light is there for them nonetheless.
Sure.
Have that story of the light, and then you have the story of the individual who is also a light, but it's this candle burning. It's this light that's going to one day go out.
Right.
So this is something that I'm not talking about all the politicians and all the corruption, all these things. I'm talking about something that is universal and something that relates to everybody. So from there, the concept is born. The songs really came together quickly in that weekend of jamming. We got the inspiration for Energy, Candle Burning,
Yes.
Hypnotize. All these songs came in that moment. Keeper of the Flame, The Light, all of them came there. So it was a collaboration, really.
Right.
And then after you get 5-6 ideas, like I do all the albums, you begin to see what keys you haven't done, what tempos you haven't done, what feels you haven't done, what is going to make the album richer.
Right.
And so songs like Trust Yourself was written. Anew was one of the first songs that Zach and I wrote the song, and Zach and I demoed this idea a long time ago, a few years ago, really. So Anew has always been there, and it came as the perfect song.
Nice.
To really end this story, because the music is this slow one drop
right.
ending of the candle.
Sure.
But the lyric is, maybe it's not the end. Maybe there's something that comes anew at the end of this process. So
nice.
It was unforced. And as I talked to Jim Fox last week, he just gave thanks to me for the opportunity that we're all there, the camaraderie, the real,
sure.
We're all on board here. And like the Groundation work, it's something to have a concept. It puts everybody in the same page instead of a collection of songs. I'm not sure what type of horn arrangement for this song versus that. But then if you see what the song is about in the story of the candle as it's burning, you're protecting it, you're sharing it, you're seeing other candles going out around you.
Right.
You begin to realize what the arrangements need, and it just raises the emotion of the music. So, man, it was powerful. And, I said, let's find a studio where we can be on our 4 or 5 weeks European tour. We can just pull over
right.
and spend days doing, no flights to get everyone together.
Right.
And
yep. You're already there.
Playing together for all these weeks. So we just move on to the studio and do it. And we did. First 16 hours of the session was an old 80-year-old man working to align each channel of the analog
right.
because it hadn't been used for 2 years.
Sure.
So, even though these studios, high-class studios, have analog gear, people are not using it that way. So
right.
It makes it hard because you got to get it right.
Yes.
You're not be able to copy paste things, move things. You can't really even fix little sections because
right.
if you have a solo and there are these little, if there's not a space to punch in, you're going to delete that last note and then
right.
it's gone forever. There's no undo. So you have to record the whole solo. So the bass, the drums, the organ, the lead guitars, the horns, the solos.
Yep.
Those are all happening live in the session as we record.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, man. That still blows my mind about the the difference in the digital and the analog recording.
And I feel, yeah, man, and I feel like with this Candle Burning album, we really got a sound, man.
Oh, yes.
With the organ, the Hammond organ, and with
beautiful.
And just the bass and the drum. There's something that captures the sound in its infinite possibilities on
Right.
the tape. That the analog in its digital number system, having a top and a bottom, it's not quite that full representation of the sound.
Right. That's so awesome. Yeah, like I always said, analog's got that warmer, like softer sound. It's just, I don't know, man. It's more personal to me. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh.
Right.
It's
And maybe it's because it's the music we grew up on. But
right. I think so.
yeah. But it's the digital. It's A to B. The analog has a sound. It's gonna
Yes.
not exactly be clean like you have in the digital world.
Right. Absolutely, man. So the name Candle Burning, I know it's spiritual and it's symbolic. Was that early in the process, or did that kind of emerge as you were creating the tracks, or did you already know, we're going to name it Candle Burning, this is what we're going to do?
It came quick, man. And it
Cool.
came from that jam session, that weekend that we were all
Nice.
together for all those hours. We just started the minute, it's like when you get certain things, holding on, like the song Holding On.
Right.
When you get certain things, you all right, this is the tune, Hypnotized again, wandering the wilderness. You got a song.
Yeah. I love
so too, as we're jamming, with
Yep.
the candle burning, pass it around.
Yep.
It was like, okay, this is
it.
Yeah, and
That's
it
cool.
represents the story perfectly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I listened to the album over and over and over again, and it's kind of cool. I picked up a theme. There's like this emergence of light from the shadows, and the track Hypnotized, and the track Energy, the track Candle Burning, the track The Light. They all carry the message like of this emergence of light, or you saw the light. I heard it, and I was like, yeah, I'm picking up on the theme here. Was that like consciously constructed, or was that, or did that just was that part of the natural flow of the jam session as well?
It came just like all the other songs in the catalog. It came real quick. I get inspired very quickly as soon as I hear a chord,
Sure.
So it's just about, once you get the melodies, you get those ideas, which all, like I said, a good 5-6 song ideas came from that session.
Right.
You get the basic workings, meaning the melodies, the rhythms,
Right.
of the lyrics and some of the hooks.
Sure.
And then see the concept. And now with the rhythms and melodies, you expand that concept now.
Nice.
You perfect those lyrics. Sometimes you have placeholders. You repeat this lyric, but
Sure.
you're going to a different part here. And you push. The Groundation stuff is rich. Energy, for instance, this type of it's supposed to be like the Big Bang, if you will.
Right.
This blast of light somehow begins from nothingness.
Yep.
And that's how the song, you have this eerie type of, this.
It's so awesome. Great song to start the album with too, man. Like,
yes. And that energy, you see this thing, boom,
yeah.
get released.
Yep.
And tempo is very specific what we wanted to do, because energy is about that. It's the energy of light that illuminates all and gives hope to all. So the tempo, it needs to be a medium stepper's groove.
Sure.
But it has to have a forward pull, as if you can't catch it.
Right.
Because you can't get to it. And we got this tempo perfectly on this take of Energy, where Zach is just driving that drum enough.
Yeah.
Where is he rushing? Is it pushing? No, but they're not relaxed in the. It's like they can't catch it. Again,
Yeah.
light has already passed you and it's gone beyond you, and there's no way to catch it.
Yeah.
So that's the tune, and you have the energy of the song, the emotion of the song, the lyrics almost write themselves at that point.
Yeah, and the horns at the beginning when they do that, da 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 da, bam. That's
Yeah, man.
awesome. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Roger Cox arrangement.
yeah. That's absolutely fantastic. Love it,
Man,
obviously.
the horn players crushed it
Oh,
on the
without a
arrangement.
doubt, yes.
A lot of the other albums, I wrote a lot of the horns,
Nice, yeah.
but man, these are great musicians, and it's like the theory of, are you going to write a drum part better than a drummer?
Right, sure.
Did Miles Davis write the bass line for Ron Carter?
Right.
No. The man's going to play what he's going to play, and it's going to be great, So you really have these things, and there's 9 tracks on the album. We have Darren, Roger, and Jeff, the 3 horn players. Each of them had 3 songs, and as it was, Roger does Energy, and Jeff Cressman does Candle Burning, the second track, and Darren does the Youth, third track.
Yep.
And it goes like that for the album. Roger, Jeff, Darren, Roger, Jeff, Darren, Roger, Jeff,
Nice.
Darren, ending in a new Darren's track. And they crushed it, man.
Absolutely.
It.
Yes, it was absolutely incredible. Now, in Candle Burning, you say, out of darkness, the spark of light travels. Now, is that like symbolic of truth or self-realization, the soul, or is it like something else entirely? Am I kind of missing the whole?
Yeah, this is something else entirely. This is this is the individual. So you're going from that idea of the eternal light and hope, and you're going to now this little home as it starts.
Right.
Now the awareness of the self, and okay, now out of this world comes your light.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome. So let's move on to the track we were just talking about. In the track Energy, you encourage not running away and that the future will be bright.
Yes.
So I guess I kind of want to ask, like, how important is, resilience in your music, especially in the era of global instability? That's
everything, Scotty. It's everything.
Amen.
That's everything. It's everything to
Beautiful.
Me.
Yep.
I mean, it's my father used to give me many books.
Right.
He used to go for long walks on the beach and these things, and reason with me about what I wanted to do with my life and these things, and what even 5 years old, when you're just beginning, and he would give me books like How High to Bounce.
Right.
These I can't think of all of the names, but it's resilience, right?
Sure.
It's how to pick yourself up, because the idea that you're going to live in some fantasy where everything is great and positive and everything works out is not the case.
Right. Amen.
So you better get used to picking yourself up and pick yourself up and be strong, So this is the point of Energy, is to not turn away from it, is to receive it. And it is always there. So yeah, that is that spark. And man, it's, you have to, with my children, I'm thinking about the 3 of them,
Right.
And there are so many, they're 12, 10, and 8 right now. So there are so many challenges ahead.
Sure.
And any one of them, I've seen people with the most opportunities in life have one setback and they become ruined. They end up in prison.
Yes.
So it's like, you need to have, even though life is pretty and you're getting everything and you're, as my wife would say, you're living your best life.
Right.
There's going to be pits.
Yes.
There's going to be stumbling blocks. So be prepared for them.
Amen. Yeah, I'll often, say, I'm like, something will happen. I'm like, damn, man, it's always something, and then my wife's like, when it's not, you're dead.
Right. Yes, that's exactly. My wife said that same.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're alive.
That's it, yeah. So also the track The Light, there's a heavy lyric in there. Some rob and steal the light. Who or what do you feel in this world today is kind of suppressing that light? And as individuals, how can we kind of push back against that?
Yeah, as individuals, we really got to harbor our own light.
Sure.
And be our own fuel source.
Right.
Because we are getting let down in every political and social sphere,
Right.
I feel like there was more truth tellers back in the 50s and 60s, 70s, And today we're getting silenced. Even on this podcast as we speak, I will refrain from saying certain things
Right.
because of the powers that be these days.
Yeah.
Look for people and can ruin your whole existence.
Amen. Absolutely.
I mean, see what's happening here in America. They could send you off to prison in a God knows what country,
Sure.
and just say, "Oh, sorry, it was a mistake."
Yes.
But maybe you'll rot there.
Right.
So we all have this fear now. So the light, the true source of light, is being like everybody now is reflecting it.
Sure.
Like I say, robbing the light,
Right.
and presenting it as if they're this great light source. But the light source stands alone and cannot be taken by an individual. So I don't know, with music, I mean, you had just recently Bruce Springsteen
Right.
went out and spoke out in the UK about Trump and about the
Right.
politics and how corrupt and how wicked and how like a mob boss and a horrible human being this person is.
Right.
And then what does he say? Oh, you're not back in U.S. yet. Let's see you get back here. Let's wait
Yes.
for what happens.
Right.
What, the U.S. president is threatening some rock icon?
Right.
And music is art. Supposed to critique these things.
Sure.
But, the AP press critiques things that get sent away. So
Sure.
there's lots of robbing and lots of stealing of the light happening today. And a lot of false presentation of what the light source is. So I believe the light source, you have to get it as an individual. Because even these religions and all these things,
Right.
they're all offering you an artificial form of the light.
Sure. 100%. Well, how do you personally stay connected to that light, especially when you're creating and like tackling the heavy topics that you do?
Well, I don't know, Scotty. I mean, I know my God.
Yes.
I know my John, my spirit.
Amen.
And I commune with that spirit as often as I can. It's society, it's life, it's work, it's kids, it's family, it's wife, it's responsibilities that take our activities away.
Right.
But in my quiet moments, in my moments alone, I am often with my God.
Sure.
And my
Beautiful.
God is one of love and of protection. And I know it, man. So
Yes.
I have no fear, and I don't give false credit and false worshiping on flesh.
Sure.
So, I just, and this is what I'm saying, that the individual has to. It's not like I'm some, blessed person.
Right.
It's like the story of the record. The light is there for everybody. And you can find the light at moments of this through Christianity and Islam and Judaism and Buddhism and
Right.
these things. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. But it's there to give us hope, to give us strength,
Right.
to give us a strong spine when we need it most.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I love that, man. And, I definitely picked up on that. It's kind of explaining to people through music that it is available. It's something that's available for everybody. You just have to, like anything, you have to go after it and get it yourself. It's, but it is something there that's available. So that's absolutely
and
fantastic.
you have to work at it. It's a practice.
Sure.
Like people do meditation and things,
Right.
and it gets them there. That's a big part of Buddhism, of course.
Certainly.
And this is, meditation and all these things. It's really giving you comfort,
Right.
because life is not comfortable.
Right.
And it's really something that takes practice. And the better you are, the more time you spend, it is rewarding.
Sure.
It's rewarding to you. And the idea is that this God and this thing is always there for you.
Right.
And you're going to need to find this place. Maybe we talked before, but you're going to need to find this place when life gets hard.
Certainly.
Maybe you're not in the ICU right now.
Right.
Maybe you're not stage 4 cancer right now. Maybe you're not facing liver disease or things. At some point you will.
Right. Of course. Absolutely.
So find that place. Know that place, and know that you can go there whenever you want. I mean, the music helps me go there. I live there on stage.
Certainly. Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, man. Speaking of the music, we had touched on this a little bit earlier, but recording the analog in the ICP studios, 10 immersive days. Can you touch on it a little bit? Well, what was that experience like for the band? Did it force like more rawness? Obviously, some trust was built, when you spend that much time just like together, knocking a whole album, one take style.
Yes. I mean, you can tell how the album and how the band is doing when even after the bass has already finished all of his work, he's there every day in the studio listening. If he has a thought, giving his thought, his thoughts welcomed, Right. I'm not telling people to go shut up. I believe that the best idea always wins. And I always say that with a lyric, even with whatever, if you hear me do something that reminds you of a song I've done or a melody I've done, let me know.
Right.
I want to come at it as unique as I can.
Sure.
If you feel like I can push myself, do something different here, I want to know these things. Because I'm saying this to the musicians too, not to make them say, F this guy, I'm not going to play,
Right.
Okay, I'll play whatever you want, No, man, it's a conversation. And
Sure.
out of those 10 days, we got that. I mean, the crew was already writing on a high level. We demoed all the ideas like we did One Rock.
Right. That's awesome.
I mean, it's actually what we've done since Each One Teach One. So the idea is that these studios cost a lot of money.
Sure.
We're not going there to say, oh, I don't know, let's write a song.
Right.
No. We have these 9 songs, these sections, these emotions, this story. How do we enhance it?
Right.
And it was everybody, the horns, to the point when, at the end of those 10 days when we were listening to the final mixes, we haven't, I don't think, mentioned Jim Fox, but Jim Fox is a huge piece of the Groundation puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
As he's been a huge piece of the puzzle for, countless bands, from Inner Circle, Don Carlos, Culture, Easier Vibration, Revolution, Soulja.
Yeah.
You name it. This guy has, and he is a...
Did you fly him into Brussels to do the recording for you?
Yes. I do not record onto analog tape without Jim Fox.
That's right.
I'll work in a digital studio. I'll record, I've done lots of solo work and things in Jamaica. Sure. Digital, whoever's recording, no problem.
Right.
If it's analog, you need somebody who knows that world.
Yeah.
Not a 35-year-old who's read a book or, read something on Google about how to record onto analog, because there's so many variables. You're talking about circuitry. You're talking about electrical engineering.
Sure.
Because there's a pathway.
Right.
That leads all the way to the magnet onto the tape.
Yep.
So there's the source, the microphone, and a whole bunch of variables of what could go wrong. And if you don't know it, hear it, and know how to fix it, you can spend 10 days recording whatever you want. You go to mix it, and you didn't capture it right.
Yikes. Yeah, that's not good.
No, I've had Fox in some studios, not here, ICP. He said that tape machine was running better than any tape machine he's ever used in his life.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and it is funny. I do remember the last podcast when we were talking about the analog, and you were like, if it's a young person, no. Kind of like being a brain surgeon, you want someone who's in their 50s or 60s,
Yeah, who's cut tape and had to do editing and done, punchings in and outs and time code and SMPTE and how it all works. I'm not saying a young person couldn't do it.
No, of course not. But
it takes a dedication to that craft.
Certainly. 100%. And speaking of that dedication, you had some incredible features on this album. You had Alpha Blondie, Michael Rose, Muda Baruka, Thomas Map Fumo, which was really neat to learn about. What made you reach out to these legends for this specific album? Was there like a thread between their voices and the album's message, kind of?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Nice.
So the idea and what Thomas Mapfumo in the Shona, in his
Yes.
lyrics on Holding On,
Yep.
what he says, Umutanga mu Africa, it all begins in Africa.
Mm.
So this is where the idea that this first candle that was lit
Mm-hmm.
is coming from.
That's awesome.
Wow, wouldn't it be great? Alpha Blondie, right? I mean, the
Right.
king of reggae in Africa.
Sure.
That would be amazing. I don't know him to do featurings
Right.
on people's thing, but that would be wonderful. And through the label Baco, I mean, I've met him, of course, from touring and
Sure.
things, and I've been a fan of his from childhood. So they made the connection, and I sent him the demo tape of The Youth, and he was like, I'm in.
Nice. Yep. That's awesome.
That was an awesome, I love it. Love
Yep.
it. So once he was in, I said, okay, we have kind of the idea with the future. And I love recording congos. I love recording Don Carlos.
Nice.
But
Yep.
I always want to try to feature somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, who is new? And I remembered, if we're going Africa, one of my heroes is Thomas Mapfumo.
Yeah.
It's not reggae,
Right.
but
That
he is
Shona
somebody.
music. Yep.
Yeah, Shona. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very
yeah,
neat.
Chirenga. His own style of music he invented.
Very
which
cool.
takes Mbira and puts it into a more popular form
Uh-huh.
of music. And the music that he invented was very political and
Yeah.
social and
Militant.
militant.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
he was put in prison, we might have mentioned in
Right.
Rhodesia time, by British colonial rule for his music.
Yep.
So this is somebody, and I said, he is in exile living in Oregon.
Right.
Let me try to find him. So contact some people, a guitarist. No, it was a promoter who knew a guitarist who was a Zimbabwean Shona guitarist. Evidently, there's a whole Zimbabwean community in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, neat.
And he puts me in touch with Thomas's daughter in
Nice.
Canada, who's managing Thomas. And I reach out to her, Chaidza, and I tell her, I'm from a reggae group, but I fell in love with your father's music
Right.
in 97, 98 when I went to Zimbabwe and I stayed with the Mukambuanua family
Nice.
in there, and they were nonstop. Thomas Mapfumo and the Blacks Unlimited. This is it. You got to listen to this. There was an album called Corruption that was illegal in Zimbabwe by Robert Mugabe's government. So
Nice.
it was like, if I could get him, and him sent him the track, and the track is in 7/8. It's but it's very African.
Sure.
All the rhythmic idea is Africa too. So I was very blown away when he said yes. I'd never met him. And when we met in the studio in Eugene, he's 80 years old now. I had to help him in the studio walking.
Right.
But the minute he sits down, but I say, wow, this man is still here. They affectionately call him the Lion of Zimbabwe. He's a Rasta, locks.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And when he was released from prison, I think I said he performed before Bob Marley at Zimbabwe's independence.
Right.
So he elevated it and stamped it with the most African, militant, socially conscious, revolutionary spirit you could find. So from there, we had the spoken word, the light. I had already done this arrangement. And, I mean, there's only one name, Mutabaruka.
Right.
To be honest, here on the podcast, I did reach out to LKJ, Linton Kwesi Johnson, who was the first dub poet I ever heard. He's the first ever recorded dub poet in the mid-'70s,
Right.
which is a reggae band, and he famously has this connection with Dennis Bovell, the great UK Jamaican producer, and his band, which was the backing group for LKJ on all these albums like Bass Culture, Forces of Victory. And so I reached out to him, and he is obviously up in age, and he said that his voice is damaged now, and he doesn't sound like that anymore.
Right.
So I said, all right. And then the only other person from those 70s, from those first dub poets, is Mutabaruka. And this is militant, Rasta, Western Kingston native, barefoot, Ital. This is as roots as you get.
I love it.
And just like all at this point now, I'm no longer calling people to say, hey, screw what it is. A lot of the first groups said by Congos I've known since childhood. I've known for a long time.
Right.
But nowadays, I say, hey, this is Harrison Groundation. These touring musicians know Groundation.
Yes.
So I don't have to sell myself as hard,
Right.
So, Mutaz knows Groundation, knows me, and the respect. Because of what we do, Scotty, because of our commitment.
Sure.
You can go look on 11 albums to find a party song, to find a drink and smoke and forget this song.
Sure.
To find a even girls love song. It's just not there.
Right.
So they know. It's not like somebody lending their voice to something wishy-washy, right?
Right.
It's all right. I'm going to be on a Groundation record. Great. So Muta was there. Very easy session right there in Kingston, recorded The Light. And then Michael Rose just came from the idea of the youth.
Right.
Alpha did his parts, Alpha Blondie, and there was still the hook, which is words I defended.
Yeah.
And the whole my youth. So there's only one. To be honest, I was thinking of Max Romeo.
Oh wow!
Passed away.
Right. Yes. Rest in peace. 100%.
Yes. And I was with him in Jamaica a few months ago and spent great time with him. And we were talking about not Candle Burning, but the next record I wanted to have him on. And I went to Jamaica a week or two ago for his funeral. Show my love and support for the family and just to give thanks for all he gave us,
Yep.
So with Max not being there and not the option, then Michael Rose was it. And he, again, man, there is no voice more iconic because I don't know about you, but when I first got to reggae, when I was a young kid, Black Uhuru.
Yes.
The band. This is right after Bob Marley passed away.
Yeah. Huge band.
They were, yes, man. They took over the mantle and they were
brutal. Oh, man. So good.
Yeah, man. Incredible. So, Sting That on You, when he puts this thing on there, is like, there is nobody with a signature more authentic than Michael Rose.
Right. Yes.
And we've never had 4 different legends on a record. Last record we had 3 with His Vibration, the Abyssinians, and the Congos.
Yep.
Which was more than we had previously. We used to just do 2.
Sure.
And this made 4. The 2 of them, Alpha and Michael Rose on the youth. The Light has Mutabaruka holding on Thomas Mapfumo. That's
very neat, man. I became a Thomas Mapfumo fan. Started researching Shona music. Really got into it. It's extremely neat. Anybody listening right now, definitely check it out. SHONA music, Zimbabwe. It's incredible.
Yeah. And he, when he would tour, I've, like I said, never met him, but I've been to his farm in Zimbabwe. He wasn't there. And I've seen him perform in Zimbabwe and then in the States. And man, I talk about going to that world.
Right.
This man lives in that world. Sometimes the man is all the way in the back of the stage, crunched down, and just wailing into the mic.
That's awesome.
He's not performing for anybody. He is.
Yep.
And the song could be 12 minutes long.
Yep.
And the band is just vamping that over and over. It's just, man, so spiritual. And Zimbabwe, the Shona people, they're the most spiritually connected I've ever been around.
Certainly. That's very awesome, man. And I actually reached out to him because of learning about him through your music to be on a podcast. I don't know how possible that is. It's probably very hard to get a hold of, but I gave it a shot anyway.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great, man. Yes.
It'd be absolutely fantastic.
You
Yeah,
have Chaiza's contact? I can give you her contact.
that would be great. Yeah, like I said, I learning about him and then hearing him on your song on the track and just learning about showing him music and the militant, style, knowing he was a political prisoner. All of that is very, very, very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. I think it would be an absolutely incredible individual to talk to.
Yeah, man, I do too. I think I might have mentioned that I'm building up to release a podcast myself.
Yeah, you did last time. You said you had some stuff recorded. It just wasn't out, right?
Yeah, I got tons of stuff recorded. But I'm going to go through it all. But Thomas, I was trying, and it's just his energy.
Sure.
He's older, and,
Yep.
as it is with the podcast, you need to have a certain energy about it. So you have to catch the right moment, like we did in the studio.
Right. Absolutely. Well, fingers crossed. I think it would be an absolutely fantastic.
And this, Scotty, this was part of. I knew, I'm paying these features and doing it, but everybody I talked to is like, who is this?
Right.
Part of why I do it, one, I love Thomas Mapfumo.
Sure.
And the other is the thrill of presenting him.
Yes.
To all these reggae people who've never heard of him.
Right.
I mean, those who know African music very well and celebrate it know him.
Sure.
But everybody else, which is the Groundation world, so it's not like having the feature and is going to be increasing all the record sales.
Right.
But there's this type of, we're not here forever, man. So there's this type of passing on a great individual and sharing him with the world that's worth much more than any album sales.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Absolutely. I love that, man. And I hope the people were just as fascinated as I was, when they...
Yeah, I think they are, because that
him.
Holding On track has got something special. I see the people online, who on YouTube, and you see their comments, and they're like, man, I cannot stop listening to Holding On. And even Jim Fox, when he does the mixing, is like, man, whenever I just put that song on, I'm like, this is awesome,
Yep, it's absolutely fantastic stuff. So thank you for that, for going out and, not just, finding the next person that's going to increase album sales, but, somebody with a voice that people need to hear. That's extremely important.
I mean, if I featured Collie Buds, if I featured a lot of these artists who it would be easy to feature.
Sure.
And again, it goes to, I think, what I said last time, which is there'll be a time when I do it with my comrades and younger groups.
Right.
But these elders are still here,
Yes, absolutely.
These are flows with Max Romeo.
Right.
And so, man.
Yep.
These are the people who I grew up, inspired me, and the reason why you and I are sitting here talking.
Amen. That's absolutely beautiful, man. So, I believe you're headed back on tour soon.
Yeah, the album's released now. I'm enjoying my time at home. We did a little week in Hawaii, but I've been trying to be home because now come about June 20 or so, I fly, start the Europe tour.
Yep.
The U.S. dates, the South American tour, back to Europe is pretty much busy until December.
Do you have any cities or specific venues that you're looking forward to, lighten up?
I know that the November 4th date in La Cigale, beautiful big theater in Paris, which is already sold out.
Wow.
That one is going to be recorded as an audio-video candle-burning live release.
That's awesome, man.
That I know. I mean, we're sitting in June and November is sold out, so the people are going to be excited.
Yes, they're going to be being filmed. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. So, and I think that with the album and the concept, it can be very theatrical and emotional,
Right.
Leading up to that slowdown and the candle burning out, I think it can be impactful more than just your average reggae show or even Groundation show. I think that there's something elevated because it's life. It's you, it's finding out that this is your moment, and it's not just a song, but it's a whole record, and we're going to perform it from front to back.
That's fantastic. And that kind of led into my next question. You know, the Groundation shows are kind of like ceremonies. It's part performance and, you know, and definitely part like spiritual release. How do you prepare for that energetically? I mean, that's...
Yeah, I keep myself fit. I just did
Sure.
my ab routine with my son and my daughter here in the backyard. I run about 5 miles 4 or 5 days a week. And I do strength training and, singing.
Sure.
It's a muscle. So even if I can go into my little makeshift studio and sing through the songs is
Yep.
great. So, I keep myself fit, knowing that when you go out on the road and you're playing 5-6 nights in a row,
Right.
We probably talked before that people use alcohol, drugs, they use things, push them through. But I just try to eat well and drink my water and
Nice.
do my work,
Sure.
prepare myself. So, yeah, I'm well prepared to do it. I was when I was in Jamaica there for those 2 days, just recent, a couple weeks back. I was with some friends who brought some other musician friends, younger musician friends with us. And we drove up to Skyline Levels, the Dub Club.
Right.
And went up to the Dub Club, and there's this long walking path down to come down to the Dub Club. And then after the night, it's 2 a.m. Everybody's tired. So we're walking up the stairs all the way back up, and then you have to go up the mountain a little ways to get to the cars, And the young musicians turn around to my brethren, who are musicians as well, Yellow, the drummer, and
Right.
the bass player. They say, "Yo, man, this man's not even breathing heavy."
Right.
And they don't even know who you're walking with.
Right. That's
You have
awesome,
no
man.
idea who you're walking with, man. This guy can do it. So,
Yep.
yeah, keep myself fit.
That's very good, man. Extremely important. Now, going into the live shows, you're about to be hitting tour. Obviously, we just talked about the Groundation shows, being, very spiritual. Do you find that the audience feels that kind of light out of the darkness message more deeply now than, maybe like 5 years ago? Because, I'll tell people I think it's progressively kind of, in a certain sense, things are getting worse because we're not being told the truth more. So I think a lot more things are hidden, and it's, we're being lied to a lot more now than we were.
Yeah, man.
So do you think, now versus 5 years ago that the audience is definitely starting to resonate with this, like, this message that's on Candle Burning? We need to be that light. We need to attach to that light because they're trying to put it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these tours and to
Sure.
play these songs and to see that reaction, because I feel 100% that the darkness that's surrounding, like the song Candle Burning says,
Right.
when the darkness surrounds you, a vision will come.
Yes.
Vision will come, So I think we're all waiting and hoping and looking and searching for that source, for that light.
Right.
So, at the same time, Scotty, to be honest, we're talking about how less and less people are coming to reggae shows.
Right.
There was a promoter in Spain who just recently put out some things on a podcast to say that reggae is dead in Europe.
Whoa.
Because the younger generation, they're not listening to it. They're not
Really?
moving. Yeah. And then, to be honest, if you were to list the most popular groups of today,
Uh-huh.
and you list the groups, let's say, that influenced me, Gladiators, Is Vibration, Burning Spear, Culture, the Congos.
Mhm.
The focus of those groups that I'm talking about, these elders,
Right.
goes way. And maybe it's because we're all a little afraid, as I mentioned earlier. But nobody is standing up like those guys.
Right.
And nobody faced, maybe those people had nothing to lose.
Right.
And maybe all of us or these people, successful people, have a lot to lose.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, if I go up and say this and say that, I think it's a very challenging time. It's a very challenging time. But I feel like this Candle Burning and these tours, I think it's going to be electric with the crowds, because those who come in to a Groundation show,
Right.
are these people.
Yes.
They already know that we are not being led in the right direction.
Right.
And it's up to us as individuals to steady and refix the direction of where we're going.
Amen. 100%. Very, very well put.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned exercise, but kind of what keeps your candle burning these days? Spirituality, community. I know your family. I know you have your 3 kids and your wife. Is that kind of just a combination of everything that kind of keeps you going and gives you that motivation?
It is 100%. And I don't, the family and the children just make life lighter, and laughter and joy, is kind of ever present if you really experience that life like a child,
Right.
I have hope. I think we all do, who feel like we feel. We find the people that we can call, the YouTube channel. We can find whether it's listening to a Sam Harris podcast,
right,
or whether it's going on to Ari Melbourne MSNBC, little clips, or whether there's great people out there who can support us along the way.
Right.
And I have knowledge that I don't hold the answers to everything, and we are stronger when we lean on each other for support. So I think we're all finding our communities. There's so many communities. That's what makes it hard to mobilize and organize for real change to take place.
Right.
But we're all finding our little anchors in the storm,
Absolutely.
Once you find it, just hold on to it.
Sure. Right, like a life jacket.
If one's not working, then leave it and find the next, because there's millions of them out there.
Sure. 100%. That's my favorite personal quote. That's our podcast quote. I say it at the end, but I'll say it now too. Strengthen unity, build your community. It's extremely important, man. 100%. So now you've always been one to honor the roots while definitely shaping the future of reggae music. What is your vision for kind of the next chapter of Groundation, musically, philosophically? I think earlier I heard you say that you were talking to somebody about the next album already. So you've already got.
Yeah.
So are you next album? That?
Man. I've talked to the record label there in Europe. Baco Records is our label in France.
Yeah,
who've been constant supporters of our work, which some labels wouldn't be, right?
Right.
Some labels would say, "Man, do the Collie Buds thing. What are you doing?"
Right.
We're giving what money to who?
Right.
But I mentioned to them the next album we're going to record as a band in Jamaica.
Nice.
And they were very excited.
That's awesome.
They were like, "Oh man, that would be phenomenal. Perform at the same time. All the video clips we could do." And so right now is the beginning. I love every process of the album is so great. But the very beginning, because you never know, it could be anything. It could go anywhere.
Right.
But the question would have to be, why is this record being recorded in Jamaica?
Right.
And that has to be answered by the concept and the ideas behind the songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. So you already have the idea. You're going to put it together. That's cool.
Yeah. No, the idea is just like candle burning.
Yeah.
The idea is maybe I don't sing about Babylon.
Right.
That's the beginning.
Right.
And so the idea at the beginning now is, okay, why are we in Jamaica?
Sure. I get it. Cool. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
And then, of course, there's endless amounts of elders and artists that we could feature that would be very easy to have pass through and make happen. So I'm looking to somehow incorporate the idea of one last rally,
Right.
I have I think maybe I don't know if we mentioned before, but there's that Kansas City picture of all the jazz greats from the late 1940s. And they're all seated on the steps.
Right.
just one last time. Have
Nice.
a cook, make it comfortable, food, music, have everybody pass through. Invite Reggaeville, Reggae.fr,
Nice, right?
World of Reggae. Invite everybody to pass through with a little press and take a photo of, even if some are in wheelchair and some are sick and whatnot. Let's just have one last, right? Let's
That's
have one
awesome.
last.
Yes, one last hurrah. Is it last question on that real quick? Is it, you think it's going to be like a concept album like Candle Burning? Are you going to do that again maybe? Kind of tell a story through everything or
You know, to tell you the truth, every album of Groundation is a concept.
right.
So Young Tree began
Right.
as the idea of the individual. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what it is. We don't realize that we are in control.
Sure.
So this is it. And then also we realize the negative. We open our eyes to, as we begin to realize the self, we realize there are factors fighting against
Right.
principles of freedom and equality.
Sure.
Each one begins to learn about history, that we're not just alone. There's these stories that happened long ago that have still have bearing and weight and affect us.
Certainly.
Hebron Gate is the individual to realize Hebron Gate, in a sense, is about what's happening in Israel.
Right. Yeah, I know Hebron Great biblical. Yes.
Right. It's an awareness of the individual that, there are religious, what would you say, confrontations.
Sure. Conflict. Yeah. Mm.
Typically, the Muslim world, Western world, Christianity, Judaism, specifically amongst these people.
Sure.
So,
Certainly.
and it goes on and on and on.
Right. Absolutely.
Upon the Bridge now is that your stories, that's why at the end of Upon the Bridge, it's your story. Right?
Right.
And then here I am now, we begin our conversation about your reality, this moment.
Nice.
All of that stuff was like a story,
Sure.
like the Bible, it's,
Right.
it's figurative language. And
Sure.
not so easy to translate.
Right.
But then here I am building an ark, a miracle, the next generation, one rock, candle burning now is this moment. We're talking about 2025. We're not talking about
Sure.
something that happened long ago.
Right. That's absolutely fantastic, man. Well, that's a beautiful thing that we already have something else to look forward to.
Yeah,
So-
I feel that way, really. It's good to have goals, and it's
Sure.
good to. And some goals are, I hope to clean the garage this week.
Yep.
Some goals are 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, of course.
But you don't lose sight of them. Some
Yep.
goals are this podcast, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That I began recording in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Right.
Some of these goals are like holding onto Ja, the documentary
I
film.
was just going to say, that took
I
you 20
started
years,
in
right?
1999.
Yeah. Yeah. And wasn't your
And
wife
I-
like, what the hell are you doing, man? Finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
17 years later, I
Yeah.
released it.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
you
man.
did it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so very cool, man. So, finally, if listeners walk away from this album, The Candle Burning, remembering just one truth, I know this is kind of hard, but one kind of eternal message, what would you hope that is?
Yeah, this is your moment.
Sure. Beautiful.
This is your moment. This is your moment. This is, I don't know, like the song anew. Who knows? Maybe something great's to come.
Right.
But this is what we know.
Sure.
And it doesn't last forever.
Amen.
So enjoy it.
That's beautiful, man. Well, I can't say anymore. I don't want to ruin it. Harrison, thank you so much for coming back on the show to talk with us, man. We could not be more grateful than we are right now to have had you back on. The album just came out. I was like, this would be absolutely fantastic to have you on to, kind of explain it to folks, maybe walk through some tracks and, give them some insight. And you did. And thank you so much for that. We are extremely grateful. Could you just kind of tell us real quick where we can find, Groundation tour information, merchandise, all that kind of
Right.
stuff online?
Yeah. I think we have candle burning new merchandise even.
Yep.
All the LPs, CDs, everything is there at groundation.com.
Beautiful.
online store, and then that's the same spot, groundation.com. All the tour dates, link to tickets, everything is there.
Fantastic. Well, once again, thank you so much, man. I definitely appreciate it. So,
it is absolutely my pleasure, man.
Thank you, sir. Now, there is strength in unity, so build your community. You can follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, shoot me an email, hippiefarirreggae@gmail.com, and check out my website, hippiefari.podbean.com. And this is Scotty, the high-strung hippie, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. And do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner, smoke out a stranger, slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart. All good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all a part of that reggae revolution. One love, fam.